All right, so my name is Evan Strong, and I make videos like this geared usually around the lacing of our shoes, the tying of our shoes, and the things within the clothing that we wear in modern 2024 that alter our body, pulling it out of its natural function, its natural alignment, natural balance, natural center line, natural ability to just move and function as human beings are universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. So, a few prerequisites that I always share are lacing your shoes with my technique, which is found many places within where my content is placed, including tying your shoes evenly, taking the outside lace over toward the inside on the right foot and the outside lace over toward the inside on the left foot. Reinforcing that internal rotation, traveling up the entire body. We all have a natural center line. We live on an earth, which is a globe, pulling us directly toward its center. If we need to stay vertical to do anything, then we need to stay centered, or else we would just fall over, okay? We have a natural center line, and we just need to be allowing it to be there, because it would be until altered by external things. So, yes, those things within the shoes, paired with removing the tags, stemming at the tongues of your shoes up through the entirety of every item of clothing that you ever wear. And I've gone into great depth within my, at this point today, currently the 17th of September 2024, I have tens of hours of content free, discussing the relationship and correlation between clothing, especially modern 2024 clothing, and the natural workings and function of the human body. I also have videos just on the natural human body's function itself, not really necessarily clothing related, but again, the clothing is the way that we allow our bodies to just be natural. So I make bold claims such as how we should not have to stretch unless something very major happens. We should not be exercising just to get in exercise in our lives, and we should not be working out to try to work up to some kind of capability. The body just works. It was designed to work, and it works very well unless and until altered, right? So, yes, I don't stretch, I don't work out, I don't exercise just to exercise. I mean, I do physical activity, but just because I want to, or just when it comes up, not to try to stay blank, right? Active or capable or healthy or in shape. I don't do that. No, I do not. And my body did not function the way it does now until I started doing the things within the clothing. And so, yes. All right. What I'm going to talk about here is, I mentioned where the clothing should sit. Again, on the universally designed human body, when we're talking about the skeletal system, we have different fat content, different muscle mass content, different heights, different widths, all the things. But within the actual structural skeletal system of the human body and the way that it operates, I always talk about the reason it's not about working out, and the reason, at least up until this point today, I have never given a single exercise or stretch or anything, is because it's about a positioning. We have a universal position that we work out of that is just a natural position the body has until altered by clothing or any kind of worldly things that we use or do in our modern day. So, I always say that clothing, just again, universal human design, needs to sit in certain locations. I talk about the pants needing to be up off of the hips, right? So that you can open your pelvis, posteriorly tuck it into internal rotation. In order to open your hips, you need your pants out of the way, right? I talk about the shoulder seams on the shirts, how they ideally shouldn't go any farther than the edges of the shoulders to just allow motion within the shoulders. And the ones on top should sit behind the shoulders to reinforce that internal rotation to be able to naturally happen, and so that you can just have it out of the way and have mobility. So, the big one that I'm going to talk about in this video, what this video is for, is pants above the hips. When I talk about that, I always mention also it's ideal to have them at least level front to back, but I say we should have them very slightly higher in the front than in the rear, because in that case, if they were to fall at all forward anteriorly, then ideally they would just get level and not any farther, right? Putting us into external rotation if they're farther down in the front than in the back, right? So ideally slightly higher in the front than in the rear. And that's what I do personally. And also, I'll get into it more towards the end of the video, but I will be designing minimal 100% natural material clothing. And when it comes to my pant designs, that's what I'm going to incorporate within my designs, is slightly higher in the front than in the rear. So I'll get into that more in a minute. But when I talk about pants above the hips, I don't normally ever talk about fashion at all. I don't know very much about fashion, and I don't care too much about fashion. I care about the function of the human body. And so when I'm talking about where things should sit and how they should fit, again, it's only to allow the body to just work as it would and just do its thing. It's not about looking a certain way necessarily, but that will come with just allowing the body to work how it's designed to. So when I talk about pants above the hips, I know that some people might think that that's like a style thing. Yeah, there were certain decades, certain generations, certain trends, certain fashion where they had that, but it's not in style anymore, some people might say. Well, this is what I'm going to focus on for the reason why I always say this, because like I say, it's a universal human design. It's a natural workings and opening of the hips, and that plays into everything. And I've gone into such great depth within the content that I have placed where this is on why that is what it is and how it really is universal from human to human. So what I want to touch on a little bit is the kind of people that we see wearing pants above their hips. If you think about a gymnast, if you think about a martial artist, if you think about like a dancer, even like a ballerina, right? If you think about even Scottish kilts, normally above the hips. If you think about, the main reason why I point those ones out is because those people are people who have a very, very well-functioning body. A gymnast and a martial artist are the two that I usually mention the most when it comes to just their body works. Gymnasts don't require anything for their body to be able to do the gymnastics. Yes, sometimes they use a bar, sometimes they use a beam, sometimes, they use a spring floor rather than just like a regular, the ground, right, like grass. But gymnasts, all it is their body. Same with a martial artist. All it is their body. It's just their being. And so in order to get themselves to be able to do the things that they do within their realm of thing, whether it is something like that, gymnastics, martial arts, dance, a lot of things that you can see within people. When I've shown the natural walking gait cycle of the human being, right? I had my shoes off and I showed what it looks like. In order to get into that natural position, even the position that I stand in, the position that I operate in now, because of what I've allowed to happen through the modifications with my clothing, it's very internal. And the only way for you to even be a natural functioning human being, the way that we are all universally designed, is by having those pants off of the hips. So I don't want people to think that it's a choice, that it's a style, that it's, when it comes to my clothing, that will always have the pants sit above the hips. I don't want them to think it's a design choice of mine. It's the reason I'm going to design them that way is to allow the body, being designed by our God in the way that it works, that we cannot tell it how to do, to work. I always say I cannot tell my body what to do. He cannot tell his body what to do, and she cannot tell her body what to do. They just work how they work. If you're getting sore, it's because, even if it's unintentional, really what we're essentially doing in those cases is trying to tell our bodies how to work, such as having the shoes laced incorrect or pants sitting, like I'm saying, in a position that the body doesn't work in. right? Shirts and just any item of clothing, that's us essentially telling our bodies what to do, and our bodies are telling us, no, I only operate in one way, sorry, and then we get sore. We can't tell them what to do. So I think it's good to give those examples of those people who their bodies just work so well. Now, I'm not a martial artist. I haven't trained kicks. I don't know how to do it correct, and so if it's not quite right, that's okay. I'm just going to show a kick, whether it's proper for a martial arts kick or not, for the sake of showing my hips being able to open. If my pants weren't above my hips, then I couldn't get my hips internal to open them. It wouldn't happen because my pants would actually literally be closing my hips off. I mean, there's just a waistband around your waist closing your hips, and they only function how they function, and they want to open. So I know that I've gone over this quite a bit within content that I've made, but I wanted to make like a designated pants need to be above the hips without a say of any of ours. It's no opinion, it's no preference, it's if you want your body to operate, period, your pants have to sit above your hips, period. Also, they have to be at least level in the front with the rear, like I was saying, and I say ideally slightly higher in the front than the rear. And I've gone over this also, but they just have to be able to posteriorly tuck, which looks like this, right? Which is what that would do to have them slightly higher in the front than the rear, just to be able to open, right? And I've gone into that. So yes, martial artists, they have like I don't know terms, I'm not claiming to know exactly what's going on, but they've got their belt, right? And it's around their waist, so they can open their hips. Gymnasts, they have those pants, usually quite tight. I mentioned how our clothing should be pretty snug, but not restrictive, right? They've got pretty snugly fitting pants, men or women gymnasts, and they come up and the waistband goes all the way up above their hips, because they wouldn't be allowed to do the functions that they do if that weren't the case. So yes, just it's very important, but it doesn't matter if you're trying to be what we would think of as like athletic, or if you just are a normal human going through life. Even if you're just sitting, well, I just talked about how sitting is not natural at all. Again, zero opinion, but like a 90-degree sitting position is just not how the body operates, and I've gone into very great depth on that. But even if you're just doing like a normal life activities and you're not really like doing much like exercise necessarily, still your pants have to be above your hips. They have to be, because your body's designed how it's designed. And yes, I can speak for people, again, unless they have had like a very major alteration within their body, like a surgery or an injury, or if they actually have a deformity, but that's your very specific case. But as far as the general humans on the earth, like, we are all the same structurally, right? And so I can speak for people, right? That's how, I mean, you can go to an anatomy class and learn the skeletal system of the body, and then become a physical therapist or like a massage therapist or an orthopedic person, and you can go and people can walk in and you can know how their body works. We are universally designed. The way that I talk about it might seem slightly different, but when I say it that way, it's like, oh, I see, right? I mean, I can speak for people as far as where the clothing needs to sit for the functionality of the body. So pants have to be above the hips. It's not an opinion, it's not a preference. If you want your body to operate, and if you are getting sore, you know that there's things that you wish you could do easier, and it's your clothing, period. Okay, unless they're sitting already where they should, right? Pants and shirts and shoes laced and tied with my technique, just allowing the foot to be natural. Unless those things are happening, then it is your clothing, period. I mean, that's just universal. That's just really what's going on. It's the only thing that's always directly on your body, physically. It's your clothing. So pants need to be above the hips. It's probably enough to say for this. But yes, again, it's not an idea. It's not me trying to tell you something. It's how the body works. It's how the body works. So, as I was discussing, I am going to be designing minimal clothing, 100% natural materials. Clothing basically always was 100% natural materials until just a few decades ago, so that's how it should be. The body is natural. I mentioned we eat nature and we become it. Essentially, that's how we grow. And cotton, for example, what I'm wearing here, is natural. It also comes out of the earth, and so right, natural human bodies and man-made unnatural chemical and, you know, factory-made materials don't mesh. The human body's natural. Let's put something natural on it, okay? So we're pulled from the clay. We are earth, and so let's just be wearing earth as well. That's how my clothing will be. I will be just using all the knowledge and understanding that I have, which again is very apparent. If you have seen any of my content, I understand the human body very, very, very well, and it is universal in the way that I approach it as far as the positioning. Okay. I'm going to take all of my knowledge and understanding of that into consideration with my designs. I've never designed clothing up until this point, so it's going to be new for me, but I'm going to do my best, and it will be good. It will be good, because again, I'm going to be the one using it as well, so it has to be, because there's no point of me designing clothing that's coming from me unless it's doing what the intention is, which is allowing our bodies to operate. So if you do ever decide to purchase my clothing when it comes time, please only purchase it in a size that actually fits you. Shoulder seams need to sit right at the edges of the shoulders. Top seams need to be behind the shoulders. Pants up off of the hips. The things that I did mention already. Yes, so I'm excited. Very excited for that. If you'd like to stick around for clothing, that'd be great. If you'd like to watch videos that I've already posted, I've got a lot of content, things about just the natural functioning of the human body itself, and then things about the clothing, modifications that you can freely make within the clothing you already have with nothing but a pair of scissors to just allow your clothing to work for you. When it comes to my designs, we will be able to purchase them. I say we, because I mean it. I'm going to be wearing them. This started with me and my need for clothing that worked for me. So we're going to be able to purchase my clothing when it comes time, my designs from the factory, without having to do any kind of modification, and then just putting them on and allowing our bodies to just go through life doing their thing. It's going to be great. So anyway, again, my name is Evan Strong. It's the 17th of September, 2024, and I just wanted to make it very clear that it's not an opinion of mine that the pants need to sit up off of the hips and the angles of the waistline. It's just that we have a universal design. Our God just doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't, and He designed us all the way He designed us, and it was in His image. So we just need to allow ourselves to function. If we can physically function, at least to the best capability that we can get our own bodies to their own natural workings, then everything within our lives goes so much, it's easier to deal with, we'll say that, okay? Because the body should just work, and when it's not working, it makes anything that you do harder, because your body is the vessel that you do anything and everything in this physical life with. So, thank you. Stick around for clothing if you'd like to. It's going to be great. All right.